Story 1. There's an old Russian proverb that roughly translates to, "The boiling water that softens potatoes also hardens the eggs." No two people come out of an identical experience the same way. Story 2. It wasn't a quote, but an inspirational graphic. The key message was, confidence isn't telling yourself that you will succeed, but telling yourself that it's okay if you fail. I saw it when I was 14, and it has always stuck with me throughout life. Story 3. Well, here's what's going to happen. One day you're going to wake up, eat your breakfast, brush your teeth, go about your business. And sooner or later, you're going to realize you haven't thought about it. None of it. And that's the moment you realize you can forget. When you know that's possible, it all gets easier. Story 4. Sucking at something is the first step to becoming good at it. Jake the Dog, Adventure Time. We all have to start somewhere with every skill we learn. It's okay to be bad at it. Story 5. When the soul suffers too much, it develops a taste for misfortune, Albert Camus. This helped me understand a few family members and more than a few Reddit users. Story 6. Be curious, not judgmental, attributed to Walt Whitman, is a really good one. It is good advice to try to seek understanding instead of casting judgment. I also really like this quote because there's actually no evidence that Whitman ever said or wrote the quote. It goes to show you that wisdom can come from ordinary people, not just the smartest or most influential among us. Story 7. Lay your life down. Your heartbeats cannot be hoarded. Your reservoir of breaths is draining away. You have hands, blister them while you can. You have bones, make them strain. They can carry nothing in the grave. You have lungs, let them spill with laughter. With an average life expectancy of 78.2 years in the US, subtracting 8 hours a day for sleep, I have around 250,000 conscious hours remaining to me in which I could be smiling or scowling, rejoicing in my life, in this race, in this story, or moaning and complaining about my troubles. I can be giving my fingers, my back, my mind, my words, my breaths, to my wife and my children and my neighbors, or I can grasp after the vapor and the vanity for myself, dragging my feet, afraid to die and therefore afraid to live. And like Adam, I will still die in the end. Living is the same thing as dying. Living well is the same thing as dying for others. Story 8. Let people do what they want to do, and you'll see what they'd rather do. My dad. I was stressing about a boyfriend when I was younger. I was venting to my dad about how I was always asking my boyfriend for the bare minimum. He said that quote to me, and it changed my entire outlook on relationships moving forward. He told me to never ask people for things. Just sit back and watch how they treat you and what they consciously decide to do on their own. You'll see what they'd rather do. Story 9. If you give 40% on a day, you only have the ability to give 40%. You gave 100%. Has helped me a lot as someone who has a chronic illness. Sometimes I can't do anything, and that's okay. Story 10. Mental health is not about feeling good. Instead, it's about having the right feelings at the right time and being able to manage those feelings effectively. Lisa D'Amour. Story 11. People don't have to like you. People don't have to love you. People don't even have to respect you. But when you look in the mirror, you better love what you see. Cheryl Lee Ralph. Story 12. I am nothing special, of this I am sure. I am a common man with common thoughts, and I have led a common life. There are no monuments dedicated to me, and my name will soon be forgotten. But I have loved another with all my heart and soul, and to me, this has always been enough. A quote from The Notebook. Story 13. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. Gandalf, The Fellowship of the Ring. Strive for progress, not perfection. I can't recall who said it, but I tell myself this all the time as someone who is a perfectionist and exceptionally hard on themselves. Some lures were made to catch fish, others to catch fishermen. My dad. I remind myself of this whenever I see the latest trend, fad, or consumerism gimmick. Story 14. The most important thing in life is that you try. My dad told me that as a kid, and I'll tell you, it didn't really click until he was gone. Now, it isn't always easy, but I'm trying. Story 15. And I urge you to please notice when you are happy and exclaim or murmur or think at some point, if this isn't nice, I don't know what is. Gut von gut. Story 16. Everything seems important to you until you are sick. Then you realize that without your health, you have nothing. Do not take it for granted. Story 17. The self is only that which it is in the process of becoming. Kierkegaard. I went through a period where I was hard on myself for who I had been. I was in a dark place and not comfortable with where I found myself at that time. This validated me. You do not need to like who you were. You do not even need to like who you are, as long as you like who you are becoming. If you strive to be better, you are better. Story 18. You can judge the character of a man by how he treats those who can do nothing for him. This made me really stop and think about how I engage with people. Story 19. Nothing changes if nothing changes. I have a love-hate relationship with this quote because it's so simple and true. My other favorite is, sometimes people think they know you. They know a few facts about you, and they piece you together in a way that makes sense to them. And if you don't know yourself very well, you might even believe that they are right. But the truth is, that isn't you. That isn't you at all. Story 20. If you have a sandwich full of nice ingredients and then there's a little bit of dirt in it too, then you don't want the sandwich no matter how much you like the rest of the ingredients. Story 21. You have so many relationships in this life, only one or two will last. You go through all the pain and strife, then you turn your back and they're gone so fast, oh yeah. And they're gone so fast, yeah. Oh, so hold on to the ones who really care. In the end, they'll be the only ones there. When you get old and start losing your hair, can you tell me who will still care? Can you tell me who will still care? Bop by Hansen. Story 22. And I urge you to please notice when you are happy and exclaim or murmur or think at some point, if this isn't nice, I don't know what is. Kurt Vonnegut, A Man Without a Country. I think about that a lot and try to do that as much as I can. It's good to remember how many positive, beautiful, and enjoyable things there are in the world. Story 23. Here are some quotes that made me think, wow, I wish I had come across this a decade ago. Allow me to share a few of my latest favorites. It's not about feeling better or not feeling bad. It's about being better at feeling bad. You never know the value of a moment until it becomes a memory. Whatever you resist will always persist. Story 24. No man has the right to be an amateur in the matter of physical training. It is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable. Socrates. Story 25. Hold yourself to a standard of grace, not perfection. The author is unknown to me. I myself am made entirely of flaws, stitched together with good intentions. Augustine Burroughs. Story 26. Feel the fear and do it anyway. We all have something we are afraid of doing, but don't let that fear hold you back from chasing your dreams. You're scared. It's normal to be scared at times, but don't let that fear stop you from doing what you want to do. I used to have social anxiety. I had to get over it to be successful. If I hadn't pushed myself, I would just stay in my little home and never truly experience the world. Story 27. It sounds a little nihilistic, but I've enjoyed this quote since quitting my band. Ever tried, ever failed. No matter, try again, fail better. Samuel Beckett. Story 28. Maybe this is all I really am, the person I became while waiting for my life to start. This is a quote from a YouTube video titled The Toolbox Fallacy by Passion of the Nerd. Story 29. Live life as if it were your second time around, and aim to not redo the mistakes you made the first time. It's from Viktor Frankl, likely from the book Man's Search for Meaning. I'm quoting it from memory, so there's a slight disclaimer that the wording might be different, but the essence of it is beautiful. Story 30. This momentous day. R.H. White. Not one day in anyone's life is an uneventful day. No day without profound meaning. No matter how dull and boring it might seem. No matter whether you are a seamstress or a queen, a shoe-shine boy or a movie star, a renowned philosopher or a child with Down syndrome. Because in every day of your life, there are opportunities to perform little kindnesses for others, both by conscious acts of will and unconscious example. Each smallest act of kindness, even just words of hope when they are needed, the remembrance of a birthday, a compliment that engenders a smile reverberates across great distances and spans of time, affecting lives unknown to the one whose generous spirit was the source of this good echo, because kindness is passed on and grows each time it is passed, until a simple courtesy becomes an act of selfless courage years later and far away. Likewise, each small meanness, each thoughtless expression of hatred, each envious and bitter act, regardless of how petty, can inspire others and is therefore the seed that ultimately produces evil fruit, poisoning people whom you have never met and never will. All human lives are so profoundly and intricately entwined, those dead, those living, those generations yet to come, that the fate of all is the fate of each, and the hope of humanity rests in every heart and in every pair of hands. Therefore, after every failure, we are obliged to strive again for success, and when faced with the end of one thing, we must build something new and better in the ashes, just as from pain and grief we must weave hope, for each of us is a thread critical to the strength, to the very survival of the human tapestry. Every hour in every life contains such often unrecognized potential to affect the world that the great days for which we, in our dissatisfaction, so often yearn are already with us. All great days and thrilling possibilities are combined always in this momentous day. It made me think about the impact I can have on strangers' lives with just a kind word or a gesture, and how negative an impact I can have by being rude.